order the Health and Human Services Committee. This is a committee of the entire legislature. First on the agenda is discussion. Anybody have anything? All right, hearing none, we'll jump right into our resolutions. First is a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign Family-Centered Case Management Services, FCCMS, contract with Captain Community Human Services. This is for social services. I need a sponsor in a second.
I'll sponsor.
Legislator Majewski and Legislator Pollock. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That one will move on. Next is a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign an agreement with Bonadillo Company LLP for social services. I will sponsor that one. I need a second. Legislator Headwell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That will also move on. Next is a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign a contract with Fort Hudson Home Care and amend the 2026 operating budget for social services. Need a sponsor in a second. Chairman Pep
I'll second.
and Legislator Muehlbeck. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that will also move on. Next is a resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into a contract for transportation services on bid 04-26 for public health. Sponsor in a second.
I'll sponsor.
Legislator Majewski and Legislator Sweet. Any discussion?
When we do these contracts, in the past, we've asked for the bid specs from each bidder. I don't think we got that.
We received 3 bids, however, 2 of them were not valid because they were not complete bid specs. And after much discussion with the county attorney, they could not be admissible.
In the resolution, it says that there was 3, I'm pretty sure, I want to say that there was 3 bidders. One was because of insurance, and the other 2, but it didn't say anything.
The one could not complete the routes, and they did not have the availability of the routes that were needed in order to provide programming to the children. And the other bid, they were not willing to increase their insurance or to even give us copies of an increased insurance. So again, after much conversation with the county attorney, they were inadmissible due to the fact that they were not complete and or appropriate bids.
Yeah.
We should probably change the wording though, because it says 2 bids were considered responsive and valid when it appears that it was only one, correct? It's the third whereas. 1 bid didn't meet insurance requirement, therefore 2 bids were considered responsive and valid. Just, we got a housekeeping here.
Yep. That's an oversight, my apologies.
No, it's okay.
And you can't edit resolutions once they're submitted, so.
So, how should we, 1 bid didn't meet insurance requirements, what should we say about the second one? The other one?
The second bid did not have the capacity to provide the routes needed for the children in the program.
We might have to do that on 16 RPMs instead of, you guys don't remember.
Does not have the capacity needed for the routes.
To provide the routes needed to transport the children in the program.
So, and then 1 bid was considered responsive and valid. Beautiful.
Okay, any other discussion? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That will move on. And finally, tonight, we have a resolution authorizing the Montgomery County Health Department to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Village of Canajoharie Youth Center for community health programming and events for the health department.
I'll sponsor.
Okay, Legislator Pep, and I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And that will move on. Anything under other? Hearing nothing, I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Legislator Fiorello and Legislator Majewski. We are closed at 6:04.
Ready? Public Safety Committee to order at 6:04. First thing on the agenda, discussion. Does anyone have anything to discuss pertaining to this committee? Hearing none, we'll move right into the resolutions. First resolution is resolution approving retirement and transfer of K-9 Sam and K-9 Bud. I'll sponsor, need a second?
I'll second.
Or the full board sponsor, need a second.
I want Sam.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Move that to the full board. Next resolution, a resolution accepting the FY 2025 State Emergency Management Performance Grant from New York State Homeland Security and amending the 2026 operating budget. I need a sponsor and a second.
I'll sponsor.
Muehlbeck and Kowalczyk. Discussion. Hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Move that to the full board. Next resolution is resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into a contract extension with the United States Marshal Service to house federal detainees. I need a sponsor.
I'll sponsor.
Fiorello and Pep. Discussion. Hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Move that to the full board. Next resolution, resolution authorizing county executive to sign an agreement accepting the FY 2025 State Homeland Security Program grant funds and amending the 2026 operating budget. Need a sponsor? Elwood,
I'll second.
Michelle, and discussion. Hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Move that to the full board. And next resolution, resolution accepting criminal justice discovery reform grant and authorizing county executive to sign agreement. I'll sponsor, need a second?
I'll second.
Elwood, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Move that to the full board. Anything under other? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Maria and Michelle.
I call the Physical Services Committee to order at 6:07. This is a committee of the full legislature. First order of operation, is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to bring up Switzer Hill. We've talked about this before. I think Brian, I think you were at the meeting with myself, where we were promised that this was the year that it was going to be reopened. I brought this up back a while ago. We were told that the plans were in with the state being reviewed.
Yep.
I don't think the plans have even made it to the state yet. I think they're still in the engineering office being reviewed. Every month, every year, the price keeps doubling, keeps going up and up and up. But Switzer Hill is a major thoroughfare. When we closed that road years ago, it was for a temporary period, not for, we voted for temporary, not for long-term closure. And we need to figure out what we're gonna do with this. But again, Brian, you were at the meeting, and I think we were told that this year, that road would be reopened. So last year, they were gonna do half the work, this year, they're gonna do the other half of the work, and it was gonna be reopened, and I don't think anything has been done. And we'll just hear more and more different things of why it can't be done or what can be done. But if something happens on the school hill, and something happens up there, and an ambulance has to get around for safety reasons, you're going all around the whole county to get to a person's house. And the school hill is just out of control with traffic. But,
Mike, you wanna?
Yep. This is what I can do is I can go back to Eric, the commissioner, and request a full report of where we currently stand. There was a report provided, I think it was 3 months ago.
No, June, that's what
Or
I'm
in
digging
June?
at here, it's June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Traffic study's been sent to New York State DOT for consideration.
From the
Reopening.
engineering firm.
Highly unlikely DOT will approve this, especially with the accident of the Scary limo crash. This road mirrors that type of dangerous intersection. Will require discussion upon response from DOT and their input. Last discussion with engineering group is we are in the area of 7 to 8 million, changing the slope and approaching down to the New York State Route 5. And that was on May 28th
Yep.
from the commissioner to Peter, myself, and Mike. And then there's an attached, I do, GPI, there's a letter from GPI here as well. I believe it has been sent to them,
Yep.
based on what you were hypothesizing there during your opening.
Well, we were told back in December, I think December or January, that had already taken place. and I don't think it had taken, there was a discussion here in the meeting one day,
Yeah, no, I was.
and it was said that that was already done, but again, we're just prolonging it, and eventually the price is gonna be so high, it's just gonna be shut down, and you're gonna have to come up with a different solution, but,
Would you like me to distribute
Yeah.
this
yeah.
out to the full board?
Yeah,
I can do that.
please.
Bless you.
There's a, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, several page, response from GPI, so.
Any other discussion? Okay. For leachate disposal with the Village of Harry. Can I get a sponsor?
No sponsor.
Legislator Majewski and Legislator Kowalczyk. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Moves to the full board. Resolution amending the 2026 operating budget surplus equipment auction. Can I get a sponsor? Maria and AJ? Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That'll move to the full board. Resolution amending the 2026 operating budget surplus equipment from the auction. Can I get a sponsor?
No sponsor.
Michelle and AJ? Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That'll move to the full board. Resolution 5, authorizing the county executive to sign a contract for highway maintenance utilizing the CHIPS funds.
No sponsor.
Legislator
I'll
Majewski,
second.
Legislator Kowalczyk. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Any further discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Legislator Kowalczyk and Pollock at 6:12.
I would like to open up the Economic Development and Planning Committee. This is legislative committee meeting. It is 6:12. First on the agenda is discussion. We do have Penrose here for an update and PowerPoint presentation on the project at the former Beach Nut site. Yep, all right.
Good evening. I'm here to give you guys an update on the project where we've been to date and answer any questions you have thus far.
Your name, that's my question.
Great question. Angela Eichholz with Penrose.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know does someone have a
I'll get it.
clicker? Okay. So we'll give you a quick overview of where the project currently stands, the milestones, the schedule, and then we'll get into the updates. Go ahead.
Okay, just nod your head and I'll,
What's that?
nod your head and I'll know when to go.
Okay, keep going. So this is a brief overview of where the project currently sits. We're looking at 65 residential units ranging from units targeting 30 to 60% of area and median income. You will notice there's been a little bit of change in the open space since we've done some engineering since you've last seen it. Also want to bring to your attention, which I'll get into more detail in a minute, the phasing of this project. So the area outlined in yellow is what we're calling phase 1. The project was previously proposed as 3 phases. We've consolidated that a bit now into 2 phases. Tonight, the main focus of our attention is just on phase 1. So this is kind of a little bit of history of where we've come so far. As you can see, back in 2023, we had the 3 phases. Since then, we've made some adjustments based on engineering, easements, going through some of the planning process, and on the far right is what we're proposing today. So a couple things have happened since you guys have seen this project last. Most notably is that we've secured some additional funding. And with that, we'd like to make some potential adjustments to the current PSA to allow for us to use that funding for the project more efficiently. The other thing that's happened since we've last been in front of this board to discuss the project is we've had multiple conversations with HCR. They are aware of our intent to submit a funding application this fall, and we are working towards a submission. The current deadline is September 10th. And as you can see, we're on track, I think, for that submission in September. One of the big things that I know has been on many people's forefront of their minds is the approval process. We're working with the village. Our intent is to go through the PDD process and a rezone. Part of why that isn't currently underway, and we've had a little bit of a lag, is because of the county funds, which we'll discuss in a minute, and what we're going to be looking from the county in order to advance that. So a couple more, just a quick update. We have talked to several of the jurisdictions about the tax abatement strategy. After our initial discussions, it sounds like there's limited support for the current pilot that was proposed, although we did get alternatives proposed by both the village and the school district. Given the turnaround time that we currently have to get an application into the state by September 10th, we felt that it was in the best interest of the project to proceed under a 581A assessment, which is allowed by right. That doesn't preclude us from revisiting the pilot conversation later, but we are currently underwriting the application and planning a financing plan that would not rely on a pilot at this time. Go ahead. And this is just a little bit of back information, but the reason that we had initially wanted to propose a pilot is over the lifetime of the project, a pilot would offer the municipality more tax revenue, as we're estimating, than a traditional 581A. But since it's not particularly interested by several of the jurisdictions we spoke with, we're happy to continue with 581A. So because we don't currently have the pilot secured, and because, as I'm sure many of you have all known and seen in the news, costs have gone up, there's issues with supply chain, we are looking at other ways to fill the gap. We currently have 2 parallel tracks going in process right now. One of the solutions we came up with to fill the financing capital gap on this project was to add a little bit of supportive housing units. We are in current conversation with Captain about providing 10 of the 65 units to young adults. These units would have ESHI, so Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, dollars, capital funds attached to them. There would be on-site staff and operating funds directed to those units. Mm-hmm.
Can we go back to that slide?
Yeah.
What is the criteria or definition of housing instability, and where, if accepted, would these people be coming from? Would they be indigenous to Canajoharie, or would they be transplanted from other spots in the county?
That is a better question for Captain. I think by my understanding, there would be some individuals in Canajoharie, but the full 10 beds, it's likely some of them would come from other places in the county. There is technically, depending on which funding source you look at, there would be like a homelessness requirement attached to these units. When we had conversations with Captain, and part of our vetting of which units we would be comfortable putting here, they explained to us that the majority of youth they're currently serving are not homeless in the sense that they're living under bridges. These are youth that are couch surfing or living with relatives or having trouble finding stable housing. So maybe homeless in a little more broader sense than some of us are typically familiar with.
We have.
So Chairman Peck, if I
Yes,
may, so
yes, you
ESHI
may.
funding actually is a segue of the Office of Mental Health. So down in Amsterdam, you have the Vietersburg Apartments as well as Holland Apartments behind the Kwiat Eye Center. So we actually, or my department did those several years ago. And any youth that is placed in an ESHI funded program such as Captains needs to have a SPOA application, which is run through the county behavioral health department. So you would fill out a child single point of access application, and then it would be reviewed before a committee, and then it would be placed. In Montgomery County, with the beds that we have available now through the Mental Health Association, the priority is always given to children, adolescents in Montgomery County. However, with the Vietersburg Apartments, there were some folks that were placed there from surrounding counties due to what they were called hard to place, and they didn't have the capacity in other counties to maintain them. So we did take them here into Montgomery County, but ESHI funding is a second arm, if you will, of the Office of Mental Health funding projects that we have already established through Vietersburg in Amsterdam as well as Holland Circle.
Thank you.
I have a question. In total, where are the people coming from? Because when I drive through Canterbury now, I don't see people living on the street, or I don't see people looking for housing. So I'm assuming that, are they going to be coming from outside the area, or are they going to be people who are leaving apartments that are in the village now going to here, and then those apartments are going to be empty? What's the scenario here? Just curious.
So we have no way of controlling exactly where people move. We are in the process of updating a comprehensive market study. We did conduct a preliminary market study before beginning the project. It's our expectation that some of the people will be coming from elsewhere in Montgomery County. It's possible we could be pulling people as far as Fulton County as well. In our experience, based on past projects that we've built, the majority of tenants do tend to come from nearby. But with Montgomery County being a little bit more rural in nature, we do expect that catchment area to be a little bit larger.
So it doesn't seem like it's a project that's really meant to benefit the village, but to other surrounding areas. Okay, thank you.
So there's a number of reasons we're looking into this housing component. One is it does align with HCR priorities. It strengthens our application, helps us score a little bit better. It does allow for access to additional capital funds to help fill that capital stack that we wouldn't otherwise get. And we also see that there may be a need. While we are exploring this relationship with Captain and applying for ESHI funds, I don't want to guarantee that this is going to happen. I just want to stress, like, this is an option we are currently exploring, getting information on, looking into. It is a possibility we could pursue, but we also might come to the conclusion that this doesn't fit the intent of the housing, and we find other capital sources, and we abandon this set aside altogether.
Would the project ever get started before we knew that answer?
No, we would know one way or the other. And I anticipate knowing probably in the next month or two definitively.
And these additional funding streams that you're looking for, how does that play into your 581 strategy?
It doesn't really at all.
Well,
Well,
if it's money you're not spending,
the
you're
so,
not paying it back, which means that your 581, the revenue is going to change, because you're not going to have capital expenses out of pocket. They're going to be covered by somebody else, correct?
so the capital sources will come from the state resources. So right now, the state offers several different soft subsidy options. One of them is Housing Trust Fund. Housing Trust Fund does have an annual payment. It's 0.5% per year hard payment due. There is a cap on how much you can apply for of Housing Trust Fund annually. Another option that the state offers for projects that offer supportive units is something called SHOP, Supportive Housing Opportunity Program. That also has a 5% annual interest payment that's borne annually. However, that project limit is much, much higher. So it would allow us to apply for more capital funding. Since we actually put together this presentation, the state has released new term sheets. And so we are currently going through that. And we are also going through to our financing partners and sourcing, since we are anticipating paying for this with low-income housing tax credits, getting tax credit pricing. That equity that gets bought and sold on the private market has a fluctuation in pricing, and if we can get a competitive enough bid from an equity investor, then that could potentially fill the gap. So that is an option that we're currently exploring.
I have one more question. Are all of the apartments subsidized in some way, either through state or federal or?
So all of the units will have some type of income regulation on them, ranging from, depending if we go Isha, it could be as low as 30% AMI. If we take out the Isha units, we're looking at roughly, probably the majority of them will be 50 to 60% area median income. And I think on the next slide, we might have those rents and incomes. The previous, yeah, if you go back one. Should like blue lines.
One more.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
You're welcome.
So for a single person household, that's roughly $33,450 a year in annual income. At 60% for a, let's say, 3-person household, you're looking at $51,000 in annual income. We are expecting a couple 3-bedroom units, so theoretically we could have a 4-person household income, although that's probably not super likely, and that would be $57,300 a year. And as you can see, I think there's some trend lines on here, so you can see the incomes and the rents going up annually. We do anticipate that would continue to go up.
And you had mentioned that you're currently completing a housing study.
Correct.
When's that going to be available?
I'm hoping by the end of the week, but I don't want to promise that, so
Okay.
definitely by the end of the month.
Okay.
So one of the things that we wanted to discuss with you this evening is updating our current purchase and sale agreement. The reason for this is some of the dollars that we had mentioned previously that had already been secured for the project do have some strings attached to them. Most notably is a federal program called BABA, Buy America, Build America. What that regulation does is it means that we have to, it requires that our GC purchase certain items related to the project locally. The problem is not all building components can be purchased locally, and oftentimes they can have 30, 50, I've even 100% premium to them because of programs like this. A workaround that we'd like to propose and we think is a great solution to keep costs down on the project is for the county to complete some of the infrastructure funds using those dollars, and then in preparing the pad, the county would then sell the land to us with the infrastructure already complete. What that does is it takes the project and bifurcates it into 2 phases, one being the groundwork with the BABA funds and the rest being the vertical project that would not have the BABA funds attached to it. And this is a strategy we've used successfully before on other projects and is a great way to keep that 30% premium from hitting the overhead cost.
Isn't part of the $2 million secured by the New York State Forward Grant going towards that?
Yes, so we would use that money for the infrastructure, or the county would use that money to prepare the infrastructure, to get the ground ready, and then we would essentially purchase the pad. So then what that does is it creates a paper trail so that when we go to HCR in the fall and say, look, we've got our capital stack, we're ready to go, the dollars are attached to the project.
And isn't there another grant, Ken, that is due to be applied to this at about $4.5 million?
Yeah, just for clarification, the $4 million that we got from Stefanik's office for this, we allocated $2.5 million to site work on the eastern part of the site.
Correct.
And $1.5 million is going to be allocated to the walking trail. It's going to connect down to the waterway part. The $2 million that they received through New York Forward Funds, that's totally separate from Stefanik's money. So they're getting a contract directly with, I believe, DOS for the $2 million.
But, so that's $4.5 million coming off your $39 million total construction bid that's being forwarded by the communities, correct?
The dollar amount performed by the community would be $2.5 million. So if you want to pull up, I think it's the next slide has the phasing again. So what we're proposing, actually if you go I think it's a little bit bigger on the first, just slide 4. If you go all the way back, it's the same thing, just bigger.
I don't have numbers, you'll have to tell me.
Sorry. So what we're proposing is that 2.5 million of the anticipated to fund capital improvements benefiting this particular site. That would include the demolition and the removal of the existing concrete slab. So if you look, it's a little bit hard to see on this, but it's kind of in the middle. You can see grayed out underneath. There's the outline of the existing slab that goes all the way up to the dotted red line. It would be the removal of the subgrade foundations and below grade structure, the excavation and removal of the unsuitable soils, and then replacing that back with structural fill. So there'd be a little bit of a depressed leveling, but it would remove the existing pad and basically get the project shovel ready. That can be done with BABA applied at very little overhead costs, because BABA doesn't really add costs when we're moving dirt and taking out excavations. Where you see BABA really impacting a project is when you're going vertical. So what we're proposing is that this phased approach is done by the county. We make an amendment to the PSA that would essentially keep all the terms of the PSA exactly the same. It would simply say that the county has received these funds. We intend to use these funds for site prep work. The site will be delivered based on these conditions. Any questions about that?
Why wasn't that discussed upon their original proposal?
I don't think we knew about this previously. So we didn't realize that the funds we were going to go after were going to have BABA attached to them. We didn't know how much we were going to get. All of this has transpired since the initial PSA back in 2023.
So if those funds hadn't become available, what was your plan? I mean, I understand that they're available now, but if they weren't available, what was your plan?
Well, I think when this project, and I can't speak for my colleagues who were here initially at the table, but when this project was first put under contract, it was put under contract with the information we had at hand. We didn't know that there'd be, a war in the Middle East and that construction prices would be escalating, right? So
It
we're.
also didn't include 10% couch-to-couch tenanting also.
Right, that's just one solution we're suggesting. Doesn't mean we're going to go that route.
Okay.
Am I there yet?
Yep, next one, and that's the end. So our next steps moving forward is we are looking at submitting an ESHI application with Captain. Again, this is to give us a choice to move forward. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to choose that path, and if we can find another way to fill the capital stack, we certainly will. We will also be using the feedback we get from the comprehensive market study. We're intending to finalize the boundaries of the first phase of the project, and so that would include not only the subdivision of the trail that was always a part of the plan, but I forgot to mention, as I understand it, there's also a piece on the very southern edge of the site that the village may be interested in for some additional parking. We plan on finalizing the PDD application as soon as we can get this phasing with the county infrastructure funds secured. The reason that we want to get the PSA tied first is to move forward with the PDD application. We have to basically unleash our consultants to do several $100,000 of pre-development work. So we wanted to make sure that the county was on board with this phased approach of doing the site prep before we unleash our consultants to do all the engineering for the PDD application.
Is there any other discussion or any questions?
I just have one comment. I'm not quite sure how this is going to benefit downtown Cambridge area. When we first were pitched this idea, the marijuana growing facility was going in, and we were told that some of these people were going to be living there that worked at this facility. And that's no longer the case. I'm not quite sure what the need for 100 and some odd units of housing, excuse me, in Canajoharie is. What is the benefit to the community as you see it,
As I see it,
as your company sees it, Ms. Penrose?
well, I think we certainly see the benefit of having an active community that's bringing residents who are going to spend money downtown to local shops and restaurants. There's also going to be some major development directly on the other side of the site, with some big retail coming in. They're going to need workers. They're going to have employment needs. This is a place where people can live and work in downtown Canajoharie.
Has there been any discussion with the school about potential capacity restraints or anything like that, with the influx of potential children and everything coming in, and how that would be potentially offset by Penrose?
We have,
Considering you're going with a 581, kind of limits what that taxable revenue is going to be
correct.
to your benefit, while putting the 4 taxing jurisdictions at a deficiency, when you look at it overall, correct? Any other developer coming in spending $40 million is going to be a little bit more favorable to providing more tax revenue. So the question is there's going to be more services that are going to have to be provided, there, especially in the school and in the community, with limited tax revenue coming in. How are you expecting to offset those costs?
Well, I'd say one thing that we've definitely done that I think is to the benefit of the school district is, when this project was initially proposed, it was heavily leaned towards 3-bedroom units. We have scaled that back quite a bit. The vast majority of units now are 1-bedroom units, so we don't anticipate the number of predicted school-age children to be very high at all. So the dollar revenue that the school district's going to see relative to pupil, I think, is going to be in their favor versus what could have been there if it was a market rate development. And it certainly is going to help bring some tax revenue, because right now it's not on the tax rolls at all.
Any other questions?
What amount of money are you looking for actually Montgomery County to contribute to phase 1?
We are looking for the $2.5 million of the congressionally directed funds to be put towards the infrastructure improvements prior to us purchasing the site.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to resolutions. Our first resolution is supporting the Montgomery County Consolidated Funding Application Canal Grant. Can I have a sponsor in a second?
Co-sponsor.
One second.
Legislator Walczyk, Legislator Muley. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That will be moving on to the full board. Our next resolution is resolution authorizing the county executive to sign an agreement with Leroy Engineers for the engineering service Exit 29 redevelopment Creek Walkway Trail project and amending the 2026 operating budget. Can I have a sponsor in a second?
I'll sponsor it.
Legislator Muehlbeck and Chairman Pep. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That will move to the full board. And our last resolution is resolution amending the 2026 operating budget. Can I have a sponsor and a second?
I'll sponsor.
Legislator Majewski and Legislator Ferriello. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That will move on to the full board as well. Last on the agenda is other. Hearing none, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Legislator Kowalczyk
I'll second.
and Legislator Majewski. You're adjourned at 6:38.
Chad, why don't you go with budget? right?
Sure. I'll call the Budget and Finance Committee together at 6:39 PM. Is there anything under discussion?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to get Marco, I see Marco here, so I just want to talk about procedure a little bit. If Marco sees something in his, Marco audits all the stuff that comes in. if Marco sees something that's not, that shouldn't be paid, and what is the process, Mike? What happens at that point of, he says no, and then all of a sudden it does get paid, or how does that happen with the whole process? Maybe I'm a little confused on.
Marco?
Well, if I take exception to paying a voucher, we usually go back to the department head who signed the voucher, or whoever signed the voucher, and you advise them one way or the other that it's allowable, not allowable, or I need additional documentation. That's the way it normally works.
But what, I'm gonna use an example. I'm a department head, I buy a water cooler for my office, I turn a bill into Culligan for that water to be paid for. You get the bill and say, absolutely not, that's 100% servicing you, we're not gonna pay it.
I don't pay.
But then all of a sudden, the bill gets paid.
I will say, it gets paid, I don't sign it, if I say no. But there are times when either additional documentation comes in, or additional discussion is held about it. And
Is it officially overridden by somebody in authority?
that can happen.
But again, if we have a policy that says that it shouldn't be paid, then it should never be overridden by anyone because of a policy, correct?
Well, my job is doing your job. That's why you appoint, that's why the legislature appointed me. Instead of you reviewing the vouchers, I review the vouchers under your authority. Right. And I will either contact Mike on numerous occasions and tell him what I think is going to not fly, so he's aware of it.
In case there's fallout.
And there's times I just turn the vouchers back and don't pay it. And there are times when I get input from other people's requesting that I do pay it, or stating the reason why it should be paid.
But do we ever pay vouchers that probably shouldn't be paid?
I'd like to think not, but I can't say it didn't happen.
What is our policy? Do we, I mean, Marco, what policy do you follow? Is there?
There's a separate set of policy and procedures. It's called the auditing guidelines.
Okay.
That's a separate set of policies and procedures regarding what we do, meaning the auditing department.
Okay. So there is a policy set there?
Yes.
It's black and white. Okay, thank you.
Well, it's covered, besides the auditing policy, it's covered in our purchasing policies.
Okay.
It's covered in all our policies.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add that there've been a couple times since I've been on board where there've been a question about payment of something that came in. And that'll trigger me to call the department head who submitted it and kind of fill it in a little bit and find out why they want this and if it is appropriate at all. But usually with just a little, I have found that with a little bit of inquiry and a little bit more details, it's payable.
Gotcha.
But for some reason, the details weren't put in up front, but that happens, and everything has been looked at by me. Marco and I talk a lot.
And Marco, levels of incidence here. Out of every 100 invoices you see, how many might that happen to? Out of every 1,000 invoices you see? It's
we probably do somewhere around 300 a week, maybe more, sometimes less. Most of the returns, the vouchers that I return are for additional documentation, or they don't meet our purchasing policies, or they don't meet general municipal law.
Well, I think the question is how many times does something get paid that wouldn't otherwise have folded under policy? Not how many times it gets batted back and forth before it's documented enough to pay.
I would say probably a small amount that get paid that I'm not crazy about paying. That's the way I'll phrase it. I don't think it should be paid, but the documentation or the explanation that comes in,
Sure.
for $220,
Yeah.
try not to pay too many. But there are times when I just return them and won't pay.
Is
If
this,
anyone else wants them paid, whoever the other authority to sign off on the vouchers
Is this usually done before or after the purchase?
I beg your pardon?
Is it done beforehand or after it's already been purchased or?
It's both.
Okay,
Or expenses incurred, whether it be travel expenses, whether it be purchases, rather be looking to buy something. That happens all the way around.
so as part of that policy that you're following, is it to go over, or is it these expenses need to be submitted before they occur?
It's supposed to be submitted for payment after the material is received and the, just lost the word I'm looking for. Packaging slip is attached to it, so that, yes, it was received, it's an operating order, and everything that was on the voucher was there, it was received. That comes to me after it's received. The ones that don't are vouchers like personal mileage expenses, that, you know, expenses like that, that have not been, the mileage may have been driven,
Right.
but there are times when stuff gets purchased that's been returned because it doesn't meet our policies and I won't pay it.
Okay, I guess my question is, who is doing the authorizing of that unauthorized purchase?
I don't get a voucher, you're right, I don't get a voucher until the department head or authorized signatures on the voucher, or a purchase order.
Okay,
So they've already been approved by the department or the responsible person. So in other words, I guess I'm the last one who signs off and a check doesn't get issued.
right.
And what I'm doing is, the authority you gave me to use is yours. I just do it for you.
And I appreciate that.
As the single point, along with Jill, you know, clearinghouse for this, is it any kind of problem? What legislator Headwell's asking about? I mean, is there such an occurrence of this that we need to be wary of it, that things are getting paid that haven't been properly authorized?
There are times I've signed some that I'm not crazy about signing, yes, I will say that is. What's the percentage of it?
Yeah, I mean, like if you
On
get
the volume, the whole thing? It's
300 a week, you get one a month?
No.
Not even.
Sometimes I'll do it a whole lot without any.
Right.
And sometimes
I'm just
I'll
trying to
do
get a
like
flavor
5, 6,
for
7.
the frequency here and how, you know, and because, I mean,
I'll say
policy
maybe
is
5, I'll
policy,
say-
but if they're nominal amounts and, you know, and it's happening once every 2 months, you know what I mean? Or 3 times a year, I'm trying to get a flavor for the severity of it.
All right, then I will say this, I probably take exception to 10% of the vouchers that come through. So out of the 10, probably 5% are rectified by additional documentation or adjustments made to the voucher.
So 5% of them a
I
year.
would say about 5% that have not.
Well, I guess that's, you know, that's more than it should be.
It is,
You know.
it is.
You know,
I agree with that.
Does our policy, excuse my, you know, not knowing this, have any lineage in it about this policy can be overridden by the initials of the executive or anything of that nature?
No.
No, okay.
I don't know of any that I've given back that haven't been accepted by the department heads. There are some that haven't, but
I mean, accept the
they
consequence.
didn't get a voucher. They didn't pay.
Right.
Went write a check for it.
Maybe,
That's their policy.
maybe when Marco comes across these ones that either he doesn't feel comfortable with, or he's not gonna pay and they get paid, the chair should be notified.
Yeah, I mean, he'll give me, you know, anytime I've been chair here, and I'm sure it's happened with you, you'll get the phone call about, you know, whoever's been chair, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this one's not smelling right, I might have you know, an issue with this, you might hear from a department head who may not be happy that I'm gonna reject this, you know, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of an awareness thing than it is an approval thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that does occur, as you know, having served in this capacity.
Clerk?
Mr. Zimble, would you agree that since the guidelines haven't been looked at since 2012, that there are areas that probably need to be revised?
Oh, yes. fact, I think Ryan moved in that quite a while ago when we decided to go over all the policies, purchasing, auditing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know where that ended up.
Probably wouldn't hurt to be updated.
Yeah, I agree.
And we all agree it's gotta be updated.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, then let's make sure we do that.
Yeah, I mean, quick math, about 15,000 vouchers a year, 720 get approved or bypassed, about $150,000 a year.
Potential.
Potential.
Where'd you get the money?
Well, you said usually they average around $200,
Oh,
so.
okay, yeah, all right.
All right, any other further questions for Audie? No? Earlier, Sean gave us some tax, sales tax updated paperwork. Sean, you want to talk about this?
So I'll just go over it quickly, and I hope the chairman, as you can see based on that, the first quarter sales tax was down about 8%, to the tune of a little over $1 million. However, the second quarter has recovered.
John, when you say recovered,
Well, it has, I say recovered as far as it's exceeded last year's, same quarter.
second quarter?
By about 23%. And as most of you know, a big driver of our sales tax is the price of fuel.
We were wondering when this was gonna kick in, and evidently it has, because now we're pacing about 175 year over year.
So that is good news. Like I said, it all depends on going forward, what happens with price of fuel. It's going back up, so you may see a similar situation in the third quarter. It's good for the county, it's bad for the consumer.
Anything on the you gave us dashboard comments, anything on there that we should be?
Pretty much it's the description, the comments really, it's at this time of year, we should be at about, this is through June, you should be 50% of your recognized revenue and expenses, and I just did highlight the areas where they are lagging as far as revenues or has expended more than the 50%. There's nothing that's too alarming. It's pretty much it's the same areas that's been this way for
That trend that way.
that trend every year this way.
Okay.
There's definitely no flyers of concern at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else under discussion? No? Moving on to the one and only resolution approving the abstract of audited claims. Need a sponsor? Legislator Kowalczyk, Legislator Muehlbeck. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Moves to the full board. Is there anything under other? No? Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Legislator Kowalczyk and Legislator Pollak.
All right, at this time, I'd like to call an executive session pursuant to 105D, H, and E. And I'd like in the room Nicole, Ken, and Peter, please.
I make a motion that we come out of executive session where no action was taken.
Got a second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I'll call the Personnel Committee to order. First is discussion, anyone? Hearing none, we'll have an add-on resolution, a resolution adopting the revised non-bargaining personnel policy for the full-time, part-time, non-represented employees, appointed officials, and department heads. Do I have a sponsor?
A sponsor.
A second.
Brian, second.
A second.
Michelle, any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anything under other? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you.
All right, I call the Education Government Committee to order at 7:57. Is there any discussion for us there? Hearing none. First resolution is going to be resolution adopting 26-27 FMCC operating budget.
I'll sponsor.
Second.
Sponsored by Chair Peps, seconded by Legislator Sweet. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Passes to the full board. Next resolution nominating member to the CETA board.
I'll
I'll
sponsor.
sponsor.
Sponsored by Legislator Pollak and Legislator Jandruski. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Third resolution is going to be pulled, and also the fourth will be pulled. Any further discussion? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Maria and Michelle at 7:58.
All right,
That's it.
it's a wrap.
Ooh,